All right, picking up from where we left off, you may notice that this session looks a little bit different here. So you'll see here that we have these muted audio regions that are in chorus 1 and chorus 2 on the back end. And that's because when I was doing some work, I kind of felt like, on the whole, the back end of chorus 3 was better performed. Let's have a quick listen. So I've actually comped in that edit, with one exception being that I felt the end of the third chorus, the very last line, that it wasn't as confident as the chorus that I had in chorus 1 and chorus 2. So what I've done here, if you can see, I've spliced in the end of chorus 1 and 2, but I have the beginning of chorus 3. And just in case I decide to do that in my final edit, I've gone ahead and I've moved those audio regions and I've included that edit point, but I've muted them. So that's leaving myself options down the line, mix time. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make sure that both sets of tracks sound good, but I'll make that decision a little bit later. But for now, we're going to pick up from where we left off, and we're going to start aligning some of these background elements over here. So first off, let's go ahead and I'm just going to highlight this over here. And you'll notice here that I had those audio events or audio regions encapsulated. Now this is something that Studio One has. It's called an audio part. It's very similar to Pro Tools clip groups, whereby you can actually put audio regions in a container, so to speak. And this is really good for storing them, and you can still retain all your edits. So you can see underneath here, I've got all my edits retained. So this allows me to keep kind of a backup of the work I'm doing. Okay, so let's talk about the two different approaches we have here. So these tracks over here, I'm just going to mute these for now, and we're going to be working with these ones over here. So what I've done here is I always like to do manual editing when I can, because quite simply, it just sounds the best when you can get away with no processing. So I've used my ear and my eyes here to time align these tracks, and I've got the one track of this vocal stack time aligned, and it's sounding pretty good. So what I want to do now is I want to explore a couple different options of how we can time align all of these vocal stacks using this as a timing reference. Okay, so as you recall in the last video, we used Revoice Pro, and Revoice Pro's got some great tools. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. So first things first, let's go into Revoice Pro. I'm going to go into our settings over here. Make sure we're set to 140 for our BPM. Go ahead and close this. Now I can hop into Studio One, and I'm going to grab the first part of the vocal verse here, come into Revoice, going to go ahead and paste that here, and then we'll go back into Studio One, and then I need the last part from this vocal over here, which is the alternate take. Great thing about Revoice is you can paste them on the same track. So now I've got both of these over here. Let's just set a playback range, and this will be where our vocals are sitting. Okay, so that's our guide. Now, the next thing I want to do over here is let's bring in the tracks that we need to perfectly align. So I'm going to take these, which I've already manually aligned as best as I can. I'm going to copy them, and we're going to go into Revoice Pro. I'm going to paste them on this track over here. Okay, so now we have all these tracks. Let's go full screen on Revoice for a second. And the idea here is that we want to use this guide, and we want to time align all of these individual elements. We want to tighten that up, see if we can get it even better than my manual editing. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of these over here. I'm going to create a new APT. You can do that by clicking the B key for a shortcut. Go ahead, automatic performance transfer. And I want to use the selected audio as a start and end. And for this one over here, they actually have a preset that's designed specifically for this purpose. And that is gaps in dub, slightly loose time and pitch. Now we don't need the pitch, so we can get rid of that later. But we do need the basic settings that come up. So we're going to just choose our guide. We'll choose our dub. And we'll make sure we're choosing our output over here. And again, we don't need to see this fixed offset because we're not creating multiple processes at the same time. Okay, so that's gone ahead and done this. But like I said, we need to tweak this a little bit. So the one tweak I'm going to make is I'm going to lose the pitch here for a second. And then the other tweak I can make is I can tighten up the timing even further. So keep your eye on these as I'm tightening up this timing. I saw a little bit of movement over here. So the idea here is that this max shift parameter is saying don't allow the beginning and end of the audio to shift any more than a certain number. So what that allows Revoice Pro to do is detect these silent parts, and it allows us to align the accents, which are happening as doubles or backing tracks, to this main guide, even though this main guide has further vocals. So it's just using the energy traces. Okay, so that's one option. Let's go ahead and have a listen to see how that sounds. I'm going to solo the guide and I'll solo the new output. And we'll play from about here.
This ain't love, this ain't love, just what broken hearts go through. This ain't love, this ain't love, just what broken hearts go to.
Okay, so that did a great job. And if I wanted to, I could easily take this track, and we know our shortcut to create a region is Shift, Option, Click, and I could drag that into Studio One, like that. But the downside of this is that I would have to do this for a lot of different tracks. So for instance, I don't just have one track, I've got another 5 tracks over here. So if this was something that I needed to do for just maybe 1 or 2 tracks and I wanted the best quality algorithms possible, I would definitely turn to Revoice Pro. But it's not. In this particular situation, I need to do a lot more than just these tracks. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm not going to use Revoice Pro, but I just wanted to show you that workflow because it's extremely powerful, it's very useful, and it works excellent. So we'll go ahead here and we'll close this. And we'll click Don't Save. Okay, so the question is then, how do we tackle this if we're not going to use Revoice Pro? Well, I could manually edit every single one of these tracks like I did with this one, and that would be totally doable. The only problem is it would take a long time. And the other issue is, at some point, I'm pretty sure that we'd have to do some type of time compression and expansion because we'd have to make sure that the energy and the inflections on the voice and where the words are bending together make sense. So what I'm going to do is, this is where VocAlign comes in really handy. And there's actually nothing that even comes close to it for this type of workflow. So let's go ahead and I'm going to unmute these audio events over here. And you can see that I've pre-cut these audio sections over here to be specific lengths. And I've trimmed them up on the front end and the back end to get rid of any breaths in between. And there's a reason for this, and that's because VocAlign really likes to work in smaller sections. Now, the other thing with VocAlign is it's so powerful, the algorithms, that you have to be careful with the breaths. So a lot of the times, if it's for backing tracks, we have the breaths coming in from the lead vocals, so I've just taken them out. Now, because I've gone ahead and manually edited these and have pre-sized them so that I've gotten rid of any breaths that are happening underneath, this is going to make the next step a lot easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically select this track and I'm going to cut all of these tracks based upon the size of the audio region I created here. And then we're going to go through these section by section and we're going to time align them and you're going to see how powerful VocAlign is. Okay, so first off, I've selected this audio event over here. Let's go ahead and select all of these tracks and I'm basically creating ranges and then I'm going to split them. And then I can come in here and I can just get rid of any audio that's in between. So you're just going to see me go like this. Create range, split, and then I'm just going to take snapping off for now. And then I can come in between here and I can get rid of the audio. Okay, so we'll do the same here. Create ranges, split, take this, delete it, come in here to here, create ranges, double click to split. Then I can delete here. This one over here, create ranges. I'll use a shortcut, B to split or break. And see this stuff here, all this I'm getting rid of here, this is breath and things that I don't want or don't need. So I'm not too worried about deleting that at all. And like I said, in Studio One, VocAlign works best when you give it equal sized portions. Okay, now I'm going to take this. Okay, let's get rid of these over here. So now we've got these split up into sections. Now what I'm going to do over here is I'm just going to expand this a little bit so we can put the VocAlign GUI in the left side here. Now, instantiating VocAlign into audio regions in Studio One is just as easy as Melodyne. So all I have to do here is select the audio regions or events or clips that I want, and then I've got a shortcut in VocAlign which allows me to instantly transfer all of these audio regions into VocAlign. In my case, I've mapped it out to V. So that's it. It's transferred into VocAlign now, all of these. Now all I need to do is I need to give VocAlign some instructions. So it's saying drag the guide audio event here, and then it's asking me for my dub audio events. So I'm going to select all of these over here, and I'm going to drag them in. And that's it. It's done. It's instantly aligned. So I could go ahead and play that now, and that would be aligned. So let's go ahead here, and let's just solo these tracks out. And we'll bring our VocAlign window back up.
This ain't love.
Okay, so it sounds great. Now, I don't need this taking up any CPU power, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to render these. And you're going to see the GUI update when I do this render. Just move this out of the way. Okay, now we're going to do the next set. So again, exact same thing. I'm going to do my shortcut. I'm going to load VocAlign. I'm going to tell it which one is the guide. And this one over here, I'm going to tell it which one is the dub. And that's it. Now I'm going to just go ahead and render this. Okay, so now that's done. Now we're going to do this section. And again, I'm going to tell VocAlign which one is the guide. And all these ones are the dubs. This is just drag and drop. They're all done. Go ahead and render it. Next up, we're going to do these guys over here. Click my shortcut to edit with VocAlign. And I'm just going to drag this in. And I'm going to drag all the dubs in. And I'm going to render. And you can see these just updating in real time. It's pretty incredible. V, drag in my first guide over here. And I'm going to drag in the rest of my dubs. And we're going to go ahead and render these. And now we're going to do the last batch over here. This is a big one. This is where things need a lot of work. So my shortcut, V, to edit with VocAlign. Now I'm going to determine, okay, this one's the guide. And all of these are the dubs. Drag this in. And now I'm going to go ahead and render this. Now keep your eye on these when I render. Okay, so let's have a listen to see how that sounds, because that was quite a bit of time compression and expansion going on there. Brilliant. Let's hear it in the track. Awesome. So now you'll notice here that I have this little effect icon here, which is telling me that VocAlign is still loaded on these. Now the reason it's loaded is because I had to load it into the plugin, so the plugin would know what to use as a guide reference. But what I can do now is I can just highlight these, and I've got a shortcut to remove VocAlign. So now any instance of VocAlign has been rendered into the file. And of course, if I wanted to tweak this, I could go ahead and restore this at any given point in time. I could tweak the parameters and change the flexibility or whatever I need, but I'm happy with those results. So let's have a listen to that now, and we'll play from the top, and let's have a listen to it in context of the whole track. Okay, so that sounds awesome. So I think what we'll do is we'll take a break here, and in the next video, we'll quickly touch upon pitch correction.